I'd have to admit, I did put my thoughts into Sainty winning it myself.
Yeah, and it would have been fully deserved. But again, like I said, everything is planned for a reason. We don't make judgment calls. Occasionally we have to make a last minute decision, but we were pretty certain this was the way that we were going to go, and I think we've been justified by it. The promos, the way the angles are building towards betrayal, and then the pay-per-view changes. So we're going to go into a 7-week build to Survival, and I think we're pretty confident that with the storylines and the arcs that we've got planned, it is going to be justified. And the biggest thing for me and Matt is we talk about Born in Fire this year. For us, it's brilliant. The feedback and the reception that show got was fantastic, and it made a lot of difference because as a Fed head, you do sometimes find that it is sometimes it's unforgiving. You don't get a lot of praise. You find yourself, you write at stupid hours of the day. I write at 7:20 sitting on the train to work, and 11 o'clock at night waiting for the missus to come home. And not a lot of people see that, but when a show like Born in Fire gets the reception it does make it all worthwhile. And for us, it's going out there and topping it next year, which will be seriously fucking difficult, but we're going to do it.
Yeah, you've got a year now, and you've got people like, as well as the guys who are now in the main event, like Kenty and Steele, you've got people like Fanatic and James McManus, and even Scorpion now, who are starting to push their way up towards it. So it's no longer going to be 10 or so guys, it's going to be basically the entire roster.
Definitely. I mean, there is you touched on a couple of names there, the Fanatic. Amy has done phenomenal work with that character.
Seeing as it was just a side character for Gregors when we first got it.
Yeah, I mean, we did sort of change it a little bit because we had it built up that the Fanatic and Eliminator were the same person, because we felt it would just kill off any sort of lingering allegiance to 6CW. Not in that sense, but we had the same character basically. And she's done phenomenal work. She really has. You read her promos and she puts so much effort into it. She really focuses on what's going on and who she's promoting against. And I think the other key thing that it's really brought out Tuz's game as well. Seeing his other half, go and get a title perhaps before him. Everyone ups their game, and that mid-card division, there's some serious competition. Like you say, you've got Scorpion who's come on in leaps and bounds. You've got Quincy. Did I say that right?
Quincy, yeah.
Quincy. Sounds like coincidence. You've got him coming through. Like you say, the guys like Kenty, you've got Chaos who's, he's having a bit of a breakdown at the moment. You've got Dubs, you've got Kenji, I think Table's a brilliant promo, and Kenji's, is another one of my favourite characters to write for. Team Japan has such a unique dynamic that you could pretty much put them anywhere. And then, Vortex and Takeo, Twisty, I think he's really struggled with Vortex at times, and I think now he's getting to a place where he can really sort of start to build on that character. He's moved from the rubbishy farting gimmick, and he's where he is now. And Takeo, to go from Grantus Holtus to Ollie to Lucas Takeo and carry it through the way he's done has been brilliant. And I'm quite glad to fuck it up, really, because we had that was probably one of the
biggest build-ups,
shocking there's ever been. Inside Hardcore Hell, and they've all, like I say, they've really upped their game, and it's difficult. I don't think there's anyone that can sort of look in there and think, yeah, I'm better than everyone. Well, maybe Demon, but
well, let's face it, his promos are just immense now that JJ is gone.
Well, I mean, there's an argument to be had between the two. I think when you look at them, they are two completely different characters. I don't think JJ's ever played the heel, and whilst Cassius has been a face, there's always been that twinge there, that sort of, I'm always kind of gonna be a heel. I think, and it's not a criticism of JJ, but from a personal perspective, I think that Cassius portrays emotion a hell of a lot better. In the way that, you can break him down as a character. And it's very marginal because, you know, when we did the whole, you know, JJ went on the losing streak, we had the you know, the bits with Marlo Green and with CJ and with Saint and Patrick, you know, Saint spitting in his face and things like that, you know. JJ really brought it down to earth and, you know, added a new dimension to the character. But for me, I think it was a dimension that Cassius already had. And so I think he's kind of played catch up a little bit there.
Yeah, but although Cassius does bring out the best in everybody.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you know, you ask anyone, I think, you know, Cassius and Saint in particular, you know, are your two go-to guys. You know, if ever you want to have a feud where, you know, you've got to seriously up your game, they are probably the two names there that, not to be disrespectful to the guys that are currently on the roster like Jack and Crimey, but, you know, historically, you know, Demon and Saint really do they push your character.
Oh yeah, definitely. Well, you look at Scorpion versus Saint in Born in Fire a few years ago and how good Bull went from being, no offence to me, about 5 lines promos when he first started to suddenly he was doing solid promos week in, week out with Sainty.
Yeah.
I mean, sorry, go ahead.
No, carry on.
No, I was just to say, when, I think I've only ever had like 2 matches with Saint, and, I did have the war with Cassius, and they did bring out the absolute best in me, and I did enjoy promoing with them, because they knew how, we knew how each other worked.
That was easily my feud of the year, not just because, you know, I had a personal hand in it, but I think it was just such a different feud. You know, with no disrespect to you as a character, you were a relative mid-carder.
Yeah.
And you kind of had this sort of plucky streak about you, you know. You'd come from nowhere, you know, from hanging out by a water cooler out the back to all of a sudden you were rolling with the big boys, you know, and that feud just kind of took off. And like you say, you know, it's because of the way that Demon, like, brings the best out of you. You know, you take everything that he throws at you and you take every bit of information and you twist it and you turn it and you look at how you can respond to it. And, you know, the way you two went about that feud was fantastic. And it built his turn perfectly. And, you know, I think if you'd have looked back at the, you know, perhaps at the coming out of, not last year's Born in Fire, but the Born in Fire before, and you'd have sat down and you said, right, plan for next year is, I'm gonna turn Cassius heel and I'm gonna do it with Uryu. People might have said, how the fuck are you gonna do that? But in the end, it just became, it just sort of flowed. It was so natural to get it to where it was.
Yeah, can I just ask you a personal question? Please tell me it's not over.
Oh, what, the feud between you and Cassius?
Yeah.
It is for the time being, yeah.
I do enjoy working with him so much. He's an absolute riot.
It's so difficult to give everyone a shot at everyone, you know. I'm pretty sure that the entire roster would want a shot at him, and hell, even my character, you know, I've got unfinished business with him. But there's a time and a place for everything. You know, I'm sure you'll cross paths again.
Yeah.
I wouldn't, at the moment, I wouldn't have thought that you'll be revisiting a long-term feud with him.
Alrighty then, speaking of revisiting, revisiting storylines and that, history lesson. Why don't we talk about JJ Johnson throughout all the years he's been here?
I mean, I'm in a difficult position because I only really know him from, sort of Soldier of Fortune onwards. Obviously I know that he's had about 4 retirements and, you know, sort of comes and goes a bit. Obviously the association was quite a big angle at the time and, you know, really where his feud with Cassidy came off. I mean, when you look at it, you know, he's always been able to turn his hand to sort of a different type of character and he really does that, when you look at from the Soldier of Fortune right through to when he sort of comes out as JJ Johnson. And there was a little period, you know, before I sort of got involved where he had the feud with Blue Dragon, where he sort of, the both of them sort of played the tweener role. But you know, he's, when you look back, you know, he really is Mr. 6WF. I mean, every sort of huge moment in 6WF has kind of involved JJ Johnson, even, you know, behind the scenes as well, and it's a testament to everyone. Like, when you look at, you know, eFedin as a whole, you know, people can actually create characters like that and they can take them forward, and, you know, JJ really proved that, you know.
CJ?
Yeah, when I first got it was obviously, I was part of the 6WE, so it's kind of a bit of an awkward one reading 6WF, but the first one I remember was the main event of Born in Fire about 2009, where it was JJ versus River Ace versus, I think, Hero. And it went from being a fairly average promoting session, and the moment JJ showed up, suddenly you had two guys working their asses off to keep up with him. And it seems to be just going through all the way since then. Everyone has always just been trying to keep up with JJ. And every time he's come back, no offence to any other returnees, but he's always had the biggest buzz when he's returned. So that kind of shows how big a history he's made for himself.
I don't know, TJ was pretty fucking awesome.
TJ was like the most unexpected one, I'll give you that. That was like,
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah, it wasn't expected. I mean, I was initially thinking River Ace at the start. I mean, me and Scorpion were just talking about it in the chat box.
Oh man, I'd have loved it if it was River Ace.
I would have if it was Rover Ace. He was awesome. He was,
Oh, the dog. Yeah.
Oh,
he was probably my favourite character to never promo against, for the simple fact that I had so much fun promoing against people that weren't him. I remember sort of me and Marshall we were part of the church, and I'd just do a backstage skit where I'd be walking back and there'd be some guy hanging around the boards, and I'd walk up to him and go, "Excuse me mate, have you seen River Ace? You know, do you know where he is?" And then it would actually be River Ace, and then I'd walk off and I just felt, yeah, there you go, have that. That'll teach you to fucking talk up your return and then not fucking promo.
What do you mean? River Ace and Ace were the greatest tag team of all time when they came back.
That was a huge return, wasn't it? I've never seen so much fucking fart sniffing self-importance as when those two fucking returned. And that's not, you know, don't get me wrong, like, you know, River did a lot for 6WF, but, you know, that kind of took the piss. You know, to give all that fucking build up, all that hype, and then to do absolutely fuck all with it. And in Ace's defense, I think Ace had a lot of uni work going on and he couldn't really commit. But I don't think River had that excuse. I think River just wasn't happy with where he was.
No, River's always seen himself as a world title contender, and reading his promos, on occasions it's hard to see why.
okay.